Hi guys, Andy here. I've got what should be an interesting test for you today. We've got on the left here the Nexus 5 running Lollipop and with its Snapdragon 800 chipset, 2.3 GHz Crate 400 and 2 GB of RAM. And on the right is my OnePlus One running CyanogenMod with its Snapdragon 801 chipset, 2.5 GHz Crate 400 and 3 GB of RAM. So slightly better specs to the OnePlus One. Now, the reason I think it should be a good matchup is actually they're both in a very, very similar price bracket. So the OnePlus One, whilst it's still invite only, is only £270 if you can get your hands on an invite. The Nexus 5 can be found for around about 270, 280 from different distributors, or I think 300 direct from Google. Although the OnePlus One does have 64 gig of storage, which is more than the Nexus 5 is even available with. So value-wise, the OnePlus One probably has the edge. So we're kicking off with the boot test, and as you can see, the OnePlus One is already into its app drawer. The Nexus 5 running Lollipop, still booting up. I don't remember it taking this long normally, but in this instance it did. Fair enough. And gradually it comes to life now. Now, first point I'll address is some people moan because I compare devices running different operating systems, so Lollipop versus KitKat in this instance. But the way I look at it, we're looking at the device against another device, not the OS against a different OS or the same OS, or hardware against hardware. It's the device versus the device. And in this instance, this is what these two devices run. Now, meanwhile, I'm carrying on with the Angry Birds test, and Nexus 5 squeaked through on that one. We'll do it another one because it's always best of three, and it's looking like the Nexus 5 is gonna get the win there once again. Now, I realise the boot up test and the Angry Birds test, they're not actually that important to you, but it gives you an indication of how the device can run in real world scenarios. You would imagine the difference might be magnified if it was a more strenuous test. Then move on to the benchmarking test with Geekbench 3. Obviously, I won't make you watch the whole thing, but we can already see the Nexus 5 squeaking away. And if we skip to the results, the Nexus 5 with a very commendable 2897 on the multi-thread score. That's right up there with the big boys, like the S5, and it's not that far from the Note 4. The OnePlus One seems to struggle a bit with the multi-core score. 2100 is quite low, although you'll notice the single core score is higher. We move outside now for the GPS test, and as usual, I let them both lock on, then I reset GPS state, and I come back out of the app. And again, I have to press the OnePlus One button twice. It happened before. It's not quite as sensitive as other devices. Then we start the app up. I'm going to speed it up 3 times pace at this point, and we come back to regular speed now, just as the Nexus 5 locks in first look, which is odd because I actually thought my Nexus 5 had GPS issues, but it locked reasonably quick there. The OnePlus One seemed to take a fair bit of time. It did in my last test against the Note 4, and here we say it's locked into place. Now, I can tell you that the OnePlus One, it doesn't, you might think, oh, that's terrible, that's not good, but actually I use it fine, no problems, when I use SatNav in my car, so don't worry too much. But yet, the Nexus 5 did get the win. Now, we're going to move on to the speaker test, and I'll tell you now, the OnePlus One has an amazing speaker, one of the best, I think, that I've heard. Whether or not it'll show in the video. So I don't know how audible that is on the tape, but the OnePlus One, really very loud, good round sound.
Essentially gave organizations like GCHQ and the NSA a free rein to go do mass surveillance. Essentially gave organizations like GCHQ and the NSA a free rein to go do mass surveillance. It also overturned a lot of the rules and laws, and now we're in the situation where people are clamoring for the Googles and a lot of the rules and laws, and now we're in the situation where people are clamoring for the Googles and the face Twitters to lock them out and provide real uncrackable encryption for our data.
In the test that I did last night, the OnePlus One actually had one of the best scores I've had when I did that podcast test, scoring 94 odd decibels against even, I think, the Moto G is the loudest speaker I've got at the moment, and I would say record holding, gets kind of 95. So the OnePlus One really up there, very good, very loud, very clear speaker, one of its real strengths in my opinion. I know a lot of people aren't that bothered by it, but I do use it a lot when listening to podcasts. Now, obviously, I've already moved on. Look to I don't want to hang about. We've moved on to the browser test. I've cleared both browsing data. We try the second one. Now, once again, the OnePlus One, I tapped the screen, nothing happened. So perhaps that's part of the budget element creeping in. The screen not quite as sensitive as some others. So we'll ignore that second one. We'll move on to Engadget, where actually the OnePlus One snuck through with slightly quicker loading. So because the NFL didn't load, we'll try The Verge. And the Nexus 5 just gets through as the quicker browser. So they're both quite smooth with the scrolling, no real differences there. There's not really many differences overall. But all in all, I think that's it is an interesting comparison. I think perhaps the real decider is one being Lollipop and having quicker updates, although you would hope the OnePlus One would get pretty quick updates. They're pretty similar spec and pretty similar performance. The nice big screen on the OnePlus One might be what pulls you. I don't know. There you go. I'll leave it up to you. There you go. My name's Andy. I'll catch you all again soon.